Saturday, October 7th, 2023, is probably one of the most important days in ACDC's recent history. Power Trip, live in Indio, California, is the first time that the band has performed live in front of an audience since the end of the Rocker Bus Tour in 2016. Now, for context, this is the first time that the band has performed live in front of an audience since February of 2016 with Brian Johnson, because for the rest of the last leg of the last Rocker Bus Tour that they had to get a fill-in in the form of Axl Rose to fill in for Brian Johnson after he was unceremoniously booted from the band due to hearing issues that have since been resolved, of course. And one of the things that is most prevalent in this tour is Brian's ability to sound exactly like he did for the last 20 or so years, I would say. And he is in the best, probably, singing shape that he has been since before at least the Rocker Bus Tour. Power Trip, Indio, California, live in Indio, California, I should say. This concert has attracted, straighten out the camera a little bit, this concert has attracted some of the world's biggest heavy metal and rock bands in the history. Metallica, Guns N' Roses, ACDC, Tool, just to name a few, Ozzy Osbourne, and of course Iron Maiden. Now, on a side note, I'm not sure if Ozzy actually showed up. I didn't go to this concert personally, but I will be reviewing, or at least doing an overview and a general impressions take on the concert through Marco's music channel. The link is down below in the description. I watched the entire set of ACDC, and most of Iron Maiden's. I'm going to go back and watch the rest of Iron Maiden's set list as well, and maybe give my impressions on that too, because it was damn good. It's the first time I've heard Iron Maiden's Senjutsu, any songs off Senjutsu, live. I know they've been performing them on their Days of Future Past tour. I think that's what it's called, Future Past, something like that. But in any case, this is the first time we have heard anything from ACDC in a very, very long time. So everything was riding on this concert, going smoothly. And for the most part, it did, to be honest. The first thing I noticed about this set list was the inclusion of some deep cuts. Now, for a super fan like myself, no song is an ACDC deep cut. However, there were a couple that actually stood out, as they have not performed them live in a number of years, with the inclusion of songs such as If You Want Blood, You've Got It, Stiff Upper Lip, Riff Raff, and of course the two songs off of Power Up, their most recent album, in the form of Demon Fire and Shot in the Dark. So these are already a handful of songs that they have not performed live, or at least not performed live in a very long time. This is a big deal for ACDC, who basically likes to rest on their laurels and stick to their guns on only including a few songs from each album after For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, or Back in Black if you really want to go that far, as they only really play For Those About to Rock, We Salute You's title track. And pretty much everything after that is just their most recent album, couple songs off that. Black Ice Tour, they did, I think, War Machine, Black Ice, Rock and Roll Train, and of course the latter became one of the songs that they would play at every tour ever since 2008 when that album came out. Thunderstruck being the other song that they do this with. Other than that, they really stick to whatever they've been doing, all the way from High Voltage to Back in Black. That's pretty much their window there. So mostly Bon Scott stuff with, Brian Johnson's thrown in the mix. But this concert was different. They included Stiff Upper Lip. I mean, they haven't played Stiff Upper Lip, to my knowledge, since 2001. I mean, that's a pretty deep cut if I ever heard one. And of course, If You Want Blood, You've Got It hasn't been played live since Circus Krone or Munich 2003. I mean, I have that DVD on Plug Me In. It's a pretty damn good set. It's a pretty damn good concert, I would say. One of Brian's better ones in recent years. So aggressive, full of energy, but this one is pretty much the exact same. A lot of people on Reddit are basically saying that ACDC is done, they don't sound as good, Angus Young is just standing there. He's not duck walking every 5 minutes, I suppose. But you got to remember, the band has definitely showed their age since 2009. With 2009's Live at River Plate, that was one of the things that I really took issue with in my most viewed video on my YouTube channel, and that was, of course, they sounded old. They are old, and they definitely sounded it. They are playing in a different tune, it sounds like, or at least speeding it down or pitching it downward. Some of the songs sounded a bit hollow on that album, in my opinion, but overall it was a very good live album, and I did give it a decent score. However, those same criticisms do somewhat apply here. Whole Lot of Rosie, back in the 90s, they used to speed the ever-loving crap out of it. They used to play it at like ×3 speed, and Angus Young was just all over the place. There were rumors that he had injected himself with adrenaline in Donington. Not sure if that's accurate or not, but he was definitely zooming all over the place, full of energy, full of life, but again, 30-some years ago, so there's a bit of a difference. Given the age of the band, I think they did very well. And Brian Johnson definitely has a few tricks up his sleeves when it comes to vocal ability and finesse. And of course, one of my critiques that I will get into, breath control. Now, I don't often criticize someone's ability to analyze breath control and basically know when to take a breath and when to conserve air, I suppose, because normally it doesn't really come in play. It doesn't really matter, because most musicians are able to master it pretty much from the first song. But as the set goes on, Brian Johnson definitely has a bit of a rasp to his voice, and he sounds like he's running out of breath and struggling to hit those notes. But he also employs two different kinds of singing here. He has his soul crooning from 2008 all the way to 2016 that he used from Black Ice to Rock or Bust, and of course later on Powered Up, but he also has that aggressive screaming voice that he used from the 1990s all the way up to Stiff Upper Lip, and of course a little bit before Black Ice, I would say. So he's employing two different vocal techniques here depending on which song from which era he's playing. The more aggressive style is pre-2008, and of course the more melodic style is 2008 until 2020. And when compared and contrasted together, I think they go quite nicely together. And that was one of my main critiques with Live at River Plate, is he was just soul crooning through everything. And I say soul crooning because that's something that Brian was advised to do, was to, by Brendan O'Brien, the producer of Black Ice, was to slow down, be a little bit more melodic, don't try and scream everything, you're gonna fuck up your voice, and just take things bit by bit and a little bit slower, which he did. And that was one of my complaints with Live at River Plate, is not only the newer songs were sung like that, but the older songs as well. And I don't think that style of singing really fit the older songs, because they were a little bit more faster, a little bit more upbeat, and they deserved a little bit more of an aggressive singing style, especially Thunderstruck, especially Hell's Bells, Back in Black. But for what it is, it was decent. It's really good here to be able to hear both singing styles, and I think he did a good job with how he did it. And as far as the rest of the band goes, I think they're pretty full of energy. You know, Angus Young was hopping around the stage a little bit, not as fast as he once did, but again, the guy's like 68 or 69, and I think for all intents and purposes, he did a great job. After all, it's not necessarily about how he moves around, it's about how he plays and how he sounds. I mean, Live at River Plate, they did a great job, and Malcolm Young had dementia during that time, and he was forgetting a lot of the notes during that tour and during that set list in Live at River Plate, and I think through that, they did a great job. Same thing here. Everything sounds tight. Everything sounds great. The only thing that I will say, and I don't know if this is due to the recording capabilities of whatever Mr. Marco was using in his in his camera and in his phone or whatever he used. But there were some times when I didn't realize what song was playing, and that could be on me as well. Um, when Giving the Dog a Bone started playing, honestly, I thought it was Wheels, and I was gonna get a little excited because I thought that this was the first time that they were playing Wheels live, and that would have been kind of a gut punch. That would have been awesome. But it turned out to be Giving the Dog a Bone, and honestly, I didn't realize it because I didn't hear Brian Johnson sing the first verse, only the chorus, and that was one of the things when I heard, she's using her head again, using her head, giving the dog a bone, I knew what song it was. However, before that, it kind of sounded like Wheels. So chalk that up to what you will. I guess some of AC/DC's songs sound similar, more similar than others, but it was a great set, and I am very impressed with AC/DC throwing in some songs that we don't normally hear on a yearly basis, I suppose, or concertly basis. So, all in all, I don't think that AC/DC have lost the plot. Would I suggest that they go on other tours? A worldwide tour, if you will? Well, I don't think so. I think that given their age, they should definitely take a step back and maybe schedule these things one at a time and not just put out a poster with a bunch of dates and places on it, because they might need to back out if that becomes the case because of health-related concerns or otherwise. You never know what will happen. This was kind of a shot in the dark, if you will, with Indio, California, just to dip their toes into the water, and I think it went quite well. But overall, I think their age kind of dictates that they slow down a little bit and play it by ear and take it bit by bit. Announce a set list in California or the UK, London, maybe go back to Glasgow, Scotland, Australia, anywhere in the world. Announce these things one by one, maybe a couple months in advance, and just go from there. But a world tour, I think, might be a little bit too taxing on their health. But then again, I'm not their doctor. I'm just literally in an armchair, couch, giving my opinion on what I think that they should do and what my opinion on their concert was. And I think it was a damn good concert. Like I said, I've watched Iron Maiden's portion. I thought they did pretty well. Bruce sang his heart out. They played amazing. And the instrument section was great. It was brilliant. I'm going to be watching the rest of the stuff later tonight. I just wanted to give my opinion on AC/DC's set, and it was wonderful. AC/DC is not through. Far from it. I think they did a great job. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.